You have been called antisocial. You have been told you are rude, that you make people feel boring, that you are too serious, that you need to loosen up and just enjoy the conversation. People have cornered you at parties and tried to understand why you went quiet, as if quiet was a problem to diagnose. Colleagues think you are cold because you do not chat by the coffee machine. Family members wonder why you seem exhausted after gatherings where nothing difficult even happened. And somewhere along the way, you started to wonder if they were right. If there was something fundamentally wrong with the way you are wired, there is not. But today, I want to offer you a different perspective, one that is a little kinder and a lot more scientific. I know exactly what you have been told. Antisocial, rude, stuck up, unable to just relax and be normal. Here is what nobody tells you. Your discomfort with small talk is not a social failure. It is a signal, a very specific signal from a very specific kind of brain. Psychologists and neuroscientists are beginning to map what I am going to call the depth-wired mind, a brain whose reward systems respond primarily to meaningful information exchange, deep thinking, and genuine connection, and experience genuine friction when those things are absent. Think of it this way. Your brain runs on a specific neurochemical fuel. Small talk is the wrong type. It is not that the engine is broken. It is that you have been filling a petrol tank with diesel and wondering why it feels so wrong. Neuroscientists have identified 3 separate reasons why some brains experience small talk, not as neutral, but as friction. And none of them are about shyness, anxiety, or rudeness. Mechanism. 1. The cost of depth. Imagine a Michelin-starred chef being asked to eat microwaved instant noodles for every meal, not because they are a food snob, because their palate has developed to a level where the absence of substance is itself uncomfortable. That is not sensitivity. That is mismatch. Psychologists call this the need for cognition, the intrinsic motivation to engage in and enjoy effortful cognitive activity. First identified by John Cacioppo and Richard Petty in 1982. Replicated across thousands of studies and cited over 8,600 times. It is not a mood. It is a stable personality trait. People high in this trait do not just prefer complex thinking. They experience low-complexity interactions as genuinely unrewarding, which is a very different thing from finding them boring. One is a preference. The other is a biological cost. A 2024 meta-analysis in Psychology found that high need for cognition is linked to lower anxiety, lower burnout, and higher life satisfaction. Wild, right? The problem is not that you cannot handle social interaction. The problem is that most social interaction is calibrated for a different kind of brain. This is why you do not walk away from small talk feeling rested. You walked away from a meal that provided no nutrition. Your brain ran effortful processing of low-value input and received nothing in exchange. Now, mechanism. 2. The wrong fuel. But here is the architecture underneath all of it. Your brain is neurochemically different from a brain that enjoys small talk. Not worse, not broken, different. Extroverts have more dopamine receptors. For them, social stimulation, the chatter, the novelty, the rapid back and forth, is a literal neurochemical reward. The more they talk, the better they feel. Your brain runs primarily on acetylcholine. It activates in quiet, focused states when you are thinking deeply or in a conversation that actually means something. Small talk does not trigger it, which means that for your nervous system, small talk is not neutral. It is genuinely unrewarding and genuinely costly. A 1999 study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry found that introverts show significantly more blood flow to their frontal lobes, the internal processing and problem solving regions, while extroverts show more activity in sensory reward areas. This is not a preference. It is brain anatomy. Think of it this way. The extrovert brain is a generator. It produces energy from external social input. The depth-wired mind is a battery. It stores and discharges internal energy. Generators need to run. Batteries need to charge. Neither is defective. They are different systems. This is why you leave a dinner party and feel relieved, not guilty. Your battery was draining. The conversation was providing no charge. Your brain was running on the wrong fuel. But here is the third mechanism. And this one may be the one that finally explains why this is not just about comfort. It is about your actual well-being. Mechanism 3, the happiness mismatch. In 2010, a psychologist at the University of Arizona named Matthias Mail did something simple and strange. He fitted college students with audio recorders that captured snippets of their daily conversations for 4 days. Over 23,000 snippets, coded as either small talk or substantive conversation. Then he mapped those patterns against happiness. The happiest person in the study had twice as many substantive conversations and 1/3 as much small talk as the unhappiest person. Male repeated the study with 486 participants. Same result. Substantive conversations linked to well-being. Small talk, what he called the inactive ingredient, showed no reliable positive relationship with happiness in either direction. Not bad, simply inert. Nutritionally empty. And then research from the University of Chicago found something that hits differently for people wired like you. Across a dozen experiments, participants predicted that deep conversations with strangers would be awkward and uncomfortable. After having them, they reported the opposite: more connected, happier, less awkward than they expected. The barrier was not reality, it was the expectation. Stay with me. Human beings are meaning-making animals. We did not survive 200,000 years by exchanging pleasantries. We survived by sharing information, solving problems together, building trust through revelation. The brain that cannot tolerate small talk is simply running the older, more original social software, the one designed for substance. This is why you are not antisocial, you are pro-depth. And the science has finally confirmed that depth is not just what you prefer, it is what actually works. If you have spent your whole life being told there is something wrong with the way you experience conversation, subscribe. This channel exists for exactly that conversation. But I need to make space for a very important distinction. Everything I have described so far is about a neurological preference for depth, a brain calibrated for a specific kind of reward that finds its absence costly. That is real, and it is not a flaw. But there is a different version of small talk avoidance, and it does not come from a depth preference. It comes from fear. The fear that if you say the wrong thing, you will be rejected, that if you reveal yourself, you will not be liked, that every conversation is an evaluation you might fail. These two experiences can look identical from the outside. They can even feel similar from the inside, but they have very different causes, and they need very different responses. Here is the question I want you to sit with. When you avoid small talk, is it because the conversation feels empty, or because the conversation feels dangerous? If it is the second, that is not your depth preference speaking. That is something older and worth looking at. The good news is, it can change. The science on that is just as clear. So here is my proposal for you. We call this the depth dial. 3 moves, not tricks to perform at parties. Tools that work with your actual neurology rather than against it. Because the goal is not to make you better at small talk. The goal is to spend less time in the wrong fuel. Step 1. The entry question. Every small talk interaction contains a window, usually in the first 90 seconds, where the depth can be shifted without social friction. Instead of asking how someone's weekend was, ask what the most interesting thing that happened to them this week was. Not weird, not intense. Just 1 degree of depth beyond surface level. Most people, given the invitation, will take it. The University of Chicago research showed that people consistently underestimate how much others want to have a real conversation. Give them the invitation. Step 2, the permission statement. Stop performing enthusiasm for conversations you find draining. You do not have to pretend to be captivated, but you also do not have to leave. A quiet, attentive presence in a surface-level conversation is more respectful than an exhausted performance of engagement. Presence is not the same as performance. Step 3, the depth budget. Intentionally allocate your social energy toward interactions that return something. Identify one relationship in your current life that has the potential for genuine depth and is currently stuck at surface level. This week, invest 20 minutes in going 1 layer deeper with that person. The research showed that people who do this report feeling significantly more connected and more energized than they predicted. You already know depth feels good. The depth budget is simply a commitment to stop waiting for depth to find you. You are not rude. You are not antisocial. You are not broken. You are running a brain that was calibrated for something real. Society has built a social culture around a format that your nervous system correctly identifies as the inactive ingredient. The goal is not to become someone who loves small talk. The goal is to build a life with enough of the right fuel in it that you never have to run on empty again. Start with step 1 this week. Just 1 entry question in 1 conversation, and notice what happens to the room. And if the absorption piece landed for you, the idea that you not only find surface-level conversation draining, but actually pick up and carry other people's emotional states. I made a video specifically on why some people absorb other people's emotions without realizing it. Click here. It picks up exactly where this one leaves off, and it explains something about you that most people around you will never understand. If this channel has ever helped you understand yourself a little better, subscribe. This is exactly the kind of conversation we have here every week.